Good morning, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Okay, I'm very happy to be invited back here to share another session. This time where I'm doing a very special session actually. What I present today is something quite unique. It's using Buddha Dhamma to help people who are experiencing mental health issues. Going back to the beginning, it all started, this specific program started back in 2018 when I met the psychologist at the women's prison, Correctional Institution for Women in Manila. It's in Mandaluyong City in Manila. And from that meeting, she realized that I was able to help her in a number of ways. Okay, so one of which is that there are many women inmates in that prison, 3,200 of them, and many of them are experiencing all kinds of stress-related problems, as well as being deprived of various things. And that's where she asked me to assist with some donation. And that's how it all started back in 2018. And I started collecting donations and providing some relief in terms of hygiene. They don't even have sanitary pad. Imagine a woman living in a prison with no sanitary pad. So we did a lot of that. They're not even sleeping on proper bed because of a shortage of beds. That prison originally was constructed to house 1,200 inmates. There were 3,200 inmates at that time. So many were sleeping on the floor using cardboard. You know those big cardboard boxes that comes with your TV? They were collecting that kind of cardboard boxes from the supermarkets and department stores, using that as bed for many of the women. So we donated rubber mats for them, so almost like yoga mats. So they were able to do that. Now then the psychologists realized that I had a background in mindfulness, meditation, laughter yoga, and a whole lot of other tools that are very useful to help people reduce their stress. So she invited me to conduct stress relief sessions for them. And along the way, I also sponsored several monks to join me in those ventures in 2018, 2019, until the pandemic. And Bhante Vijita, some of you may know, he is now in BMV. He used to be with Tiratana, and now he's with Brickfields. And then Bhante Indasara was at one time the former director of education in Bapu University. Then he retired from there, and then he was actually a lecturer, part-time lecturer in one of the largest universities in the Philippines, part-time lecturer for 1 year. So during that time, I also invited him to join me. In fact, today, some of you may know Bhante Chandima. Yes, he has taken over that position. He is now at the same university, taking the same job as a part-time lecturer and tutor at that Ateneo, the Manila University in Philippines, one of the top 3 universities. And then also Bhante Indaratana, some of you may know, used to be in SJBA. Now he's back in Sri Lanka, but he comes back to SJBA from time to time. And in fact, I sponsored him a couple of times, twice, flew him over there, and we did quite a lot of work there. And many of you would have known Bhante Dr. Pemaratana. He was also there. So I already asked Bhante Pemaratana, the next time he is available, I'm going to get him there again. So these were the monks who helped me do mindfulness, meditation, and all that along the way. I did quite a lot of it myself. And then we decided, and then the prison psychologist asked me to expand the program to include some other components, not just only meditation and mindfulness. So I did. First, I expanded it to mindfulness-based emotional composure, helping people to calm their mind. So this was a very straightforward, simple program at the time. And later, she invited me to join her at this other prison, men's prison in the region of Leyte, which is about 1 hour's flight away from Manila. So I went there, and they had 2,300 male inmates at that time. Well, prison population in Philippines are exploding. Today, that prison, Leyte Regional Prison, has 3,500 inmates. But that prison was constructed to house 900 inmates. Imagine, A place constructed to house 900 inmates ended up with 3,500 inmates, 4 times whatever it was able to accommodate. The same with that women's prison, more than 3 times what it was able to accommodate. And then it was interrupted about 1 year, a little over 1 year during the pandemic in 2020. Fortunately, straight after that in 2021, I went back there. And then I realized there were many people suffering from mental disorder. People were going crazy. So many of them were really going crazy, and their minds were all very disturbed because of that. So I was asked to expand this to include mental health. And I did that. And that's when it all extended to the prison officers as well for their mental health program. That was since 2021, 2022 until now. So to date, I have conducted more than 100 such classes. Each class accommodated between 40 to 150 inmates. And in the case of officers, it's about 40 to 50 each time. So you can see I reached out to thousands of inmates already in the 2 prisons. Now this is where it all started, Correctional Institution for Women. The psychologist is no longer there. In fact, she is now promoted into the headquarters, and these 3 officers took over from her position, and they are helping me a lot inside the prison. And they have been very helpful to help me organize things and donations and all that. Every time I visit, I collect a lot of donations and start offering to the inmates. So the 2 prisons, the one on the left is the women, and the one on the right is the men, in Leyte, which is about 1 hour's flight away from Manila. You will notice on the left side at the bottom there, the color of the uniform is a bit different. Now they have different color for different levels. Orange, which is what you see most of them, orange is for maximum security. And blue, which is what you see on the left bottom, and a couple of others you notice, blue is for medium security. Brown is for minimum. There are very few minimums, so I didn't conduct any session in the minimum. And also minimum security prisoners or inmates had the freedom to move around the compound quite a lot. In fact, they were all engaged in a lot of manual work in the prison, doing sweeping, cleaning, gardening, and they get very small pay, like 10 ringgit a day for a full day's work. I mean, and they can save that money. Those were in brown, so you don't see really any in brown. Then the others that are mixed with the orange, the one on the top and then the one on the middle right, you see some people in blue mixed with the orange. They are actually in the maximum security, but because they are selected, because of their good behavior, they were selected to be helpers. So they were given the medium uniform to wear to identify that they are not the same as the maximum. So they are able to move around a bit more freely. Now these are the prison inmates, okay? Then of course when I extended it to the officers, you can see how many officers were there. The women's prison are the senior officers. In the other one, the Leyte Regional Prison, are the junior officers wearing white t-shirts. So when they are not doing their duty inside the prison as officers, they wear white t-shirts any other time when they are not on duty. So they were all attending the seminar. You can see how many there are. I've done several such classes, reached out to about 400 of them already. So these are the people who benefited from this program. Okay, so let's take a quick look at what happens when people are in the prison. Now, in Philippines, they're very fortunate. The Bureau of Correction, which runs these prisons, do not call the prison inmates prisoners. They do not call them convicts. They do not call them criminals. They give them a very positive label, persons deprived of liberty, or PDL in short. This is very positive. It is not like, oh, you're a convict. No, you're just a person deprived of liberty. It's just like a person who is maybe broken leg or something like that. We don't call them cripple. We call them disabled person. So the word disabled is more polite and positive than the term cripple. In the same way, the term persons deprived of liberty, or PDL in short, is more positive than calling them convicts, calling them criminals, right? So that is a term that is used there. And you know, they are experiencing a lot of difficulty. They are deprived of liberty, deprived of freedom, family, friends, society, even self-esteem. And they don't have enough basic necessities, hygiene, food, comfort necessities. They have enough food to eat, but really not a lot. They just get one bowl of rice. Some of them, they need more than one bowl of rice a day or per meal. So very limited and restricted basic necessities, including hygiene. Women do not get sanitary pads. You know, think about it. If you are a woman inside the prison and you don't have sanitary pads, what are you going to do during your period, you know? So they have no choice but to use their towels and all kinds of things. So providing these sanitary pads and hygiene kits is a very common thing that I do. Every trip I go there, I cannot provide 3,500 of them in one go, you know. So I provide a few hundred at a time. So I'm going there again in November, and I've targeted 700 of them to receive these things. So these are the things that I'm doing now that I've retired from my professional career. They are subjected to all kinds of strict rules and restrictions and control, and even bullying amongst themselves. They are mostly very nice people, but there are a few who somehow get a kick out of bullying them. And one of the things is restriction. Every day, they all have to stand still in front of their dormitory. They don't have cells, they have dormitory. So they all have to stand and line up in front of the dormitory 6 times a day, every day of the year. Imagine 365 days, 6 times a day, people have to queue up and stand there for 15 to 30 minutes so that the officers can count them and make sure there's no one missing. Now, if you are living in that kind of conditions and restrictions and control, it is really very, very suffering in your mind and your body. Okay? And they face the same walls, the same people, same enclosures, the same enemies. There are people who are always arguing. You know, of course, I don't mean anything negative, but you get 3,500 women living within the same 4 walls. There's bound to be a lot of argument and disputes and all kinds of things. Okay, so they face the same people who they don't like each other, and they are constantly experiencing that kind of thing. So it's really very suffering, you know, and not knowing when they will be released. Now, the funny thing in the Philippines is they don't have a proper systematic way of deciding who should be released when they have served their time. So imagine what they experience: continuous experience of anger, fear, anxiety, emotional trauma, regrets, worries, uncertainty, not knowing when they're going to be released. So they are constantly experiencing endless stress and mental health issues. So that is really how bad the situation became, especially after the COVID. So I'm listing here what is commonly known amongst the psychologists, the top 10 most common mental health disorders, mental health issues. At the top is substance abuse, alcohol, drug, gambling. In fact, now the World Health Organization is adding one more item there. It is social media addiction. And that is a serious thing amongst children. They discovered amongst children, 80% of them had this substance abuse disorder. In this case, it is social media addiction. 80% of children are suffering. I'm not talking about using it, I'm talking about really suffering from it. And I think you heard recently, right? One boy, 14-year-old, killed an 18-year-old girl, or sorry, 16-year-old girl. Father said he was he stayed at home all the time. What was he doing? He was playing video games on social media, killing. You know, killing in these video games is very common. And that's really what happened. To him, the concept of killing is no big deal. He does that every day on his machine. That's how bad it is. Okay. Then, of course, there are so many other various mental health disorders. But I'm focusing on these 3, which are actually very severe stress-induced disorders. Right? So people experience anxiety disorder and panic. This is a neurotic disorder. Then people experience all kinds of depressions. This is mood disorder. And people experience what we call amygdala hijack, when the brain is continuously triggering stress. That is post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay. Now, because I'm not a trained psychologist, I refrain from touching the other disorders because those are handled by trained psychologists. So if I try to claim that I have interventions for those other disorders, they could actually get me in trouble. I'm not allowed to do that because I'm not a trained and qualified psychologist. But using mindfulness, meditation, and a whole lot of other tools at my disposal where I have a strong background in it, I'm able to treat number 2, number 3, and number 7. No problem with that. And in fact, I was doing all this long before I started the prison work. I was doing this 20 years ago, helping people who were depressed. I volunteered my service to Brickfields Temple at the time when Bande, there was another one, Bande Wimala was there, or Bande Inda Wimala, I can't remember his exact name. He was there helping me, and I was offering my services there to help people in depression. And therefore, with that background, was able to do this program. Now, let's take a look at the science behind it. There is a lot of scientific research into mental health, not just psychologists talking about it from a top level, but very thorough neuroscientific explanations. So let's take a quick look at how the brain and the body is affected by stress, how the brain and body reacts to stress.
When you're stressed, the fear center in the brain, called the amygdala, takes over. The brain sends out a distress call, which results in the adrenal glands located above the kidneys releasing hormones that speed up your heartbeat and breathing and push more blood to your muscles. Once the threat passes, your stress response winds down. For our prehistoric ancestors being chased by wild animals, this fight or flight response could be very useful, but in the modern world, it's a problem when the perceived threat never goes away. When the brain is under constant stress, it can change in ways that make you even more vulnerable to stress. A constant flood of stress hormones can also do damage by weakening your immune system, leaving you more prone to infections. It may trigger inflammation that puts you at greater risk for conditions like heart disease and diabetes. Learning how to cope with stress can help minimize these effects. Try practicing relaxation techniques like meditation, yoga, or deep breathing.
So there are a number of things we can practice to help us, like to do with relaxation, mindfulness, meditation, even various forms of yoga and breathing exercises. In fact, my program, when I conduct them in the prison, there are a lot of exercises, 100 different exercises, which I broke down in different sessions. Okay, very quickly, what happens when we get stressed? There's a part of the brain, there's a part of the brain called the amygdala. The amygdala is very sensitive. The moment it senses something that may be threatening to you, may be harmful to you, it triggers a chain reaction. It causes the stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, to be released in the adrenal gland. And they flood all over the body, making your heart beat faster, making your breathing deepen, suspending your digestive system so that it releases energy for you to deal with the stress. And various muscles become very tense and very tight, and various forms of muscle tension, and also causes your hair to stand on end. Now today we're no longer like ape-like creatures, so we don't see the long hair in our hands, but we feel it. When you watch a horror movie, something scary shows up and suddenly you feel this tingling sensation, and your body is shaking. In Cantonese they call it mo kun tong. Suddenly your whole body shivers. That is your hair standing on end. And also pupils dilating, because it helps you to see what's going on, to help you deal with the problem. So the eyes really sharpen up to see what's happening. Your facial expression gets distorted. So when people are stressed, you can see their faces all tensed up, you see. This is really what's going on. And perspiration, trembling. And worse still, it releases a lot of sugar in your blood to help you deal with the problem, because it gives you more energy. And then it suspends your body immune system. If you look at all these things, it is super, super unhealthy. If your immune system is suspended, you get sick very easily, right? And if the sugar level in your blood rises, what happens? You become diabetic. And if you start to perspire too much, you have dehydration. And if your facial expression distorts too much, you get all kinds of wrinkles in your face. And then your muscles all tense up and your skin all dry up. And pupils dilating, if your pupils dilate too frequently, before you even get old, you lose your eyesight. You're not able to see small letters easily, So you start having all kinds of eyesight problem when you get old. Hair standing on end, it turns white very quickly, and in fact, it may even fall out. Like me, no more hair. Okay, muscles all tensed up, it all tensed up, and really you need a massage, but you can't afford a massage every day, right? And intestinal movement suspended. It causes various acids and chemicals and enzymes to be released in your stomach, and no digestion going on. And because of that, you end up maybe having all kinds of problems with ulcers in your stomach. That's why they say stress leads to ulcers in the stomach. And respiration quickens, and then you basically may end up with hyperventilation, like that, And of course, your heart beats faster, your blood pressure rises, hypertension, you may even get cardiac arrest. So you can see how unhealthy it is. So how did all this get started? It's because of this thing called the amygdala in your brain. In your brain, there's an emotional command center, and there is one particular item there called the amygdala. The amygdala is connected to a part of the brain called the hippocampus. Now, I don't want to go too deep into the neuroscience, but it is necessary and helpful for you to understand this, because this will help you if you understand this. Okay, hippocampus is the librarian of your memory. It doesn't store your memory, but it actually distributes your memory to various parts of the brain. So it is like the librarian of your memory. So anything coming through your senses passes through the amygdala first. The amygdala, actually, when you see, hear, smell, taste, or touch something, the physical senses bring the information into your brain, and it is sent to two parts of your brain. First, the amygdala, then the other part is to your thinking brain. But the part that leads to your thinking brain is a very slow path. The amygdala is the first, like the gatekeeper, the first thing that senses whatever you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So the amygdala scans all sensory input and reacts when it senses something that may appear to be some form of threat or danger. It knows that in the sense that it doesn't really think, but it knows that because it is compared with the memory, because it's connected right next to the hippocampus. So every time you see something, you hear something, the librarian in the memory reminds you, oh, this is what it is. So in other words, you don't really, by the time you are aware of what you see, the mind has already processed it. It's not pure. In other words, when you become aware of an object, you see someone walking towards you, it is not a pure image of reality. By the time you see someone walking towards it, your mind already figured, do I know him? Oh, he's my friend. All that, the mind has already done a lot of processing because of the hippocampus. But if it senses something threatening, then the amygdala reacts. And how does the amygdala react? And that is what happened. The amygdala is the one that triggers a chain reaction that releases stress hormones. And in fact, this is helpful because this is what saves your life sometimes. I'm going to show you. That's why the amygdala is sometimes called your bodyguard in the brain. It senses danger and threats, alerts your whole body to react to the danger and threat. But unfortunately, the amygdala is also subject to your thinking. This is where reality gets distorted. It is thinking that distorts the reality. When you see an object, that is the reality. But then the moment you think about it, the moment you become aware of it, then that awareness goes into all kinds of thinking patterns. And that is when it triggers the arising of unconscious repressed memories, because the mind tries to interpret what is seen. The mind labels everything that we see, and the mind puts things into categories and tries to interpret what is going on, and that interpretation pollutes the sensing of reality. Right? So it's really the sixth sense that is being processed in this manner. And it causes the amygdala that goes into an emotional chain reaction, triggering various kinds of emotions, fear, panic, and all that. And in fact, that is when the amygdala, when it's aroused, it behaves like a terrorist in your brain. and it causes this emotional chain reaction and leading to mental disorders. So in other words, the amygdala has a very unique paradoxical role, two opposites. First, it's like a bodyguard in your brain, right? And then when your mind begins to overthink too much and goes into emotional chain reaction, it becomes a terrorist in your brain. It's a paradoxical role. This is why you have to remain always mindful and conscious and pay attention and realize that your mind does a lot of things to whatever you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So let's take a look at the role of the amygdala as a bodyguard. It's very interesting. So this is bodyguard. When the amygdala senses a fast approaching object, the amygdala triggers a chain reaction in the body to jump out of the way. You know, imagine if you see that car coming towards you, do you have time to think, oh, that car is out of control, it's heading towards me. If I don't jump out of the way, it's going to run over me and I'll get hurt, I'll end up in hospital, I may die. Oh, it's time to jump out of the way. Do you have time to think like that? No. It's your amygdala. You must thank your amygdala. The moment the amygdala senses what is called fast approaching object, right, or something enlarging very quickly, it's like someone suddenly come in front of your face. It triggers that chain reaction for your body to react. Save your life. That's what the amygdala is supposed to do. Right? So in this case, the amygdala is your bodyguard. Right? Now, how does the amygdala become a terrorist in your brain? Now, let's take a look. It'll take me a while to explain this, but you can see it. Our brain is such that the process of mind is an experience. There is no self behind it. It is just a process of experience we call mind, consciousness. And very little of it is fully aware. Like an iceberg in the water, 3/4 or more of it is submerged. Only a very small part is above the water. And that is the conscious part of the mind. That is the part of the mind where it is aware of present moment awareness, clear comprehension, discernment. Now, present moment awareness is when you see an object, you are aware of the object. That's it. So in other words, it's perceiving. So it's the perceiving through the five senses, seeing an object in front of you, hearing a sound in your ear, like smelling an odor, and touching a physical thing, right? And smell, and also tasting something. So your five senses, the pure awareness of what is being sensed by your five physical senses, that is what we call present moment awareness. Clear comprehension, you understand what it is. Oh, this is a person walking towards me. That's it. Clear comprehension. And discernment, now you begin to discern, this person walking very fast or walking very slow. Be able to discern. Logic and reasoning, you start to create logic, 1 + 1 = 2, that kind of thing. That part of the mind is conscious and able to reason out good from bad and right from wrong. Critical thinking, you can then decide what you want to do with your life. And once you decided what you really want to do with your life, you have the willpower to want to do something. Okay, the energy, right? And then the intention and decision. These are pure consciousness. But unfortunately, there is also a part of your mind that is subconscious, unconscious. Now, I don't separate what is subconscious and what is unconscious. Although some people try to discern, there is no discernment. Either you're conscious of it, or you're not conscious of it. That's it. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on under the surface that pollutes your thinking, perception, interpretation. Now, perception is not the same as perceiving. When you see an object, that is perceiving. But when you begin to think about what is this object, why is it here? Oh, what does it represent? What is it trying to do to me? That is interpretation already. That is perception. Perception is unconscious. It is happening without you realizing it. Right? So your mind automatically produces all kinds of interpretation, classification, identification, labeling. Right? This is a good person, he's a nice guy, that kind of thing. These are labels you attach. And opinions and judgment. You are constantly expressing an opinion in your mind, forming judgment without realizing it. Constantly. Every time you see something, the mind already goes into judgment mode. This is why we're going to learn mindfulness, because it's the practice of mindfulness that helps us arrest that problem. If we are not mindful, we will end up in the pink part of the box, submerged. If we're mindful, we stay in the blue part of the box, which is conscious awareness. Okay? So many others. All of them collectively, we can call them unconscious, repressed memories arising. The Buddha has a word for it. He calls it anusayang. And it is really translated as unconscious repressed memory arising. And this is a translation by my teacher, Venerable Dr. Punaji. Because he has a background in psychology, he was using very precise words. So one of the wonderful things that I learned from Pandit Punaji was his ability to translate from Pali into very precise English words that carry the very good meaning of what it means. It is not just memory. It is unconscious, repressed memory. Now, repressed or repression is not the same as suppression. Suppression, if you have a thought, you push it down, you say, go away, you force it away. That is called suppression. You try to force a thought to stop thinking about it. At night you want to fall asleep, suddenly you remember yesterday's problems and tomorrow's worries. Then you tell yourself, go away. That is suppression. Repression is when these thoughts arise, you just ignore them. Don't worry, don't think about it. That means you don't overthink. And that is repression. By not thinking about it, you leave it alone. It is hidden. It is sleeping. Bhante calls it sleeping. It is sleeping. But it can pop up anytime. So this is really what's going on. Anusayang is this unconscious repressed memory arising. And they are disturbing the conscious mind. And this disturbance is rooted in lobha, dosa, moha. And this disturbance is what we call stressor. Stressor are conditions and things happening which disturb your mind and your body. So stressor. And when that happens, it causes emotional chain reaction. You begin to experience lust for something pleasant, fear and aversion for something unpleasant, or fear of uncertainty and aversion towards something unpleasant. You get angry, you experience anxiety and all kinds of emotional chain reaction. All this is your terrorist in the brain. So this is really what is going on. Your mind unconsciously interprets, forms judgment, and adds all kinds of nonsense into it. In Cantonese, they call it ka yim ka cho. Tamba gula, tamba salt, tamba vinegar, all kinds of things, tamba into it. Tambahan. That is the terrorist in your brain. And that leads to the three major categories of stressors. Something that arouses the emotion, negative emotions especially, arousing negative emotions of all kinds. And the other thing is something happening which is not according to expectations, not according to your plan. So they call it adversities. So the first one is emotional trauma, arousing negative emotions. Adversities presenting as threats and conflicts to your well-being, and encountering all kinds of problems, troubles, difficulties. That is what arouses you. That is what triggers stress in you. And the third thing that triggers stress is uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen next. If you are falling sick, you do not know exactly when your illness will stop. You're having a bad cold, you wake up in the morning with a bad cold, you take Panadol, you take whatever you want, but you do not know exactly when it's going to stop. You hope it will stop by the afternoon, but you don't know. You will hope tomorrow you won't feel the same. Tomorrow you have an important meeting, you hope by tomorrow that you don't get disturbed by all these things, but you don't know. Uncertainty. All this trigger the mind to react and causing suffering in the body. And what do? We often react immediately without thinking. And this form of reaction is called unmindful reaction. We react unmindfully. Without thinking about it, we suddenly react. Like a neighbor who doesn't like you for some reason happens to pass by your garden when you're standing near your gate, and he passes by and then starts to say some bad things to you, say some unpleasant things to you. What do most people do? They become defensive. When somebody says, blah, 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 then we often even reply and argue back. So it becomes like two chickens. Two chickens arguing. And that causes a lot of suffering because we react unmindfully. Or something happens and we suddenly, like that. Take for example, if there's a glass here, and then the glass fall on the floor and it goes, piang. What do most people do? They go, ha ha. Right? People do that. Natural reaction caused by the amygdala. That, it's not you, it's the amygdala. The terrorist in your brain woke up. Okay? So all these trigger reactions, unmindful reactions. So a very important sutra, I won't go deep into the sutra, just very briefly touch on it with translations by my teacher, Venerable Dr. Punnaji, where the Buddha pointed out, in whatever way a person recognizes something by classifying or labeling it, it is in this way that past experiences begin to affect future behavior unconsciously. This is the translation by Bhante Punnaji. Other translators have different ways of expressing that. I won't go into that. But Bhante Punnaji very precisely uses that. So the top line, in whatever way a person recognizes something, that means what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. That is pure perceiving. Right? By classifying and labeling, then it goes into interpretation. We begin to classify something, we begin to label it, we begin to put it into categories. And it is in this way that past experiences, that mean memories arising and they begin to affect us and the way we behave, affect our reaction. So in other words, when we begin to interpret too much, overthink, that is when we begin to tambah the sugar, tambah the salt, tambah the vinegar, all kinds of things affecting us. It affects our behavior. So this is very important. It is stated clearly in Majjhima Nikaya 18, Madhupindika Sutra, the Honeyball Sutra. In fact, it's one of those sutras where it connects very directly with psychology. And Bhante Punnaji, having a doctorate degree in psychology, he was able to translate this very precisely. If you want a common translation, you can do that. I'll give you the link at the end of today's sharing, so you can have all the links there and you can take a snapshot then. Okay, so now, because Bhante did not translate the whole sutra, I got these translations during one of his Dhamma lectures when he spoke about this sutra. I was helping him to make the PowerPoint, so I actually got the translation from him verbally and put it in words and presenting it on the screen. He never actually wrote a book about it or put it in writing. So I was able to do that. In fact, the whole sutra, I had the translation verse by verse. Okay. Now I want you to notice this statement here, this phrase here, the Pali term, Papancha Sanya Sanka, Samudha Sharanti. Okay. Now the important one is the Papancha Sanya Sanka. The mind is polluted with all kinds of overthinking. That's what Papancha Sanya Sanka is describing. Because we tend to interpret it, categorize something, give labels to it, classify it, and all kinds of things. So let's listen to Bhante Punnaji explain this.
Papancha is really identification. Identification.
Is it the same as categorization then?
That is right. It is by categorizing that you identify.
Yeah.
That is the meaning of Papancha Sanya Sanka. Sanka is category. Papancha Sanya Sanka. It is by putting it into a category that you begin to identify.
And it is this identification that affects our behavior. So let's take a look at flowchart. What goes on when something happens in front of us? So things are happening around us, and we begin to experience things happening, and then the mind begins to perceive what's going on. So this is perceiving through the five senses. But then, beyond perceiving, there is anusayam arising. The mind begins to identify it, categorize it, label it, and interpret it, overthink about it, and then it becomes stressors. It begins to arouse our negative emotions and causing distress. Distress is mental disturbance. Stress is physical disturbance. Distress is mental disturbance. Then adversities, that means something that is going wrong, we begin to think, oh, why is this going wrong? Why is this not happening according to my plan? Then it becomes threats and conflicts to our well-being, our wellness, and become uncertainties. And all that really causes stress to arise. So the body gets affected, that is stress, physical stress. And then the mind gets disturbed, that is mental distress, emotional distress. And this is why when we begin to experience that, we have a tendency to react to it. So when we react to stress, it gets out of control. And then our reaction will no longer be something to solve the problem. Our reaction is rooted in lobha, dosa, moha. If it is something pleasant, we react in a way that we like it, we want more of it. If it is something unpleasant, we react in a way we want to get rid of it, we want to push it away, right? Aversion. And at the same time, we personalize, we cling on to the experience and say, I am experiencing it, and creating the notion of self. It becomes a self-centered experience. That is moha. So lobha, dosa, moha. And when that happens, it triggers the chain reaction. The terrorist in your brain has woken up. It triggers an emotional chain reaction, causing you to experience all kinds of emotions and leading to mental proliferation. The mind going crazy, thinking all kinds of garbage thoughts and all kinds of thoughts that are not helpful. This is really what is happening because we react unmindfully to whatever we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Both physical reaction and mental reaction. Mental reaction in the form of interpretation and overthinking. That's why a lot of people, a lot of psychologists or therapists will tell you, don't overthink. People tend to overthink. Right? When something happens, they start to think what's going to happen next. After that, a chain reaction of what could happen next. But you don't know what's going to happen next. But the mind tends to overthink. And that leads to all kinds of suffering. It leads to depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, psychological disorder, and also your health is affected, chronic illnesses and health issues. Depression because your mind is now overthinking and make you feel very sad and depressed. Post-traumatic stress disorder is when the mind overthinks, it clings on to these things and it just won't let go. And you are experiencing the suffering over and over and over again. I think you've heard a lot of stories about soldiers coming back from war. After that, they have PTSD. Because after coming back from war, at home, when they have nothing to do, their mind is idling, they start to remember what happened in the field. They were next to the bomb and it exploded and they get very scared and the mind clings on to that memory of what happened. This is what I did, and the mind just kept going in circles. And that is post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic means the trauma is finished, it's over. You're not experiencing that anymore. But your mind keeps reminding you over and over and over again. That's why it's a stress disorder, continuously. And there's a term for it, it's called amygdala hijack. That means when your amygdala is aroused and you keep thinking about it, the amygdala clings on and hangs on and it just won't let go and continuously hijack, continuously triggering stress reaction in the whole body. And that can drive people crazy. That's where mental health issues come up. Okay? And a lot of it is firstly by very simple experiences of depression, and then next by PTSD in a very mild way, but it gets serious. Okay, the PTSD gets serious. So this papancha sanya sanka, Bhante Punaji calls it simply categorized identification. Okay, whenever we experience something, we recognize something, we see, hear, smell, taste, or touch something, the mind begins to interpret by classifying it, labeling it, categorizing it, and interpreting it, and that affects our behavior. So when we interpret our experiences, we form judgments. We classify, we label our experiences, every experience, and that triggers the emotional chain reaction, whereby these unconscious repressed memories arise to continuously disturb us. And this unconscious repressed memory is what the Buddha called anusayam. And it arises and it distorts our perception of reality. That means we are no longer understanding what is really going on. Our mind begins to add a lot of garbage to the thinking. Okay, it distorts our perception of reality. And it also causes the mind to go in all kinds of circles. So distorting reality is called cognitive distortion. That means now you are no longer perceiving exactly what is happening, you're now interpreting, and your mind is now creating stories behind it. That is cognitive distortions. At the same time, the mind gets disturbed. It starts to go in all kinds of uncontrolled directions, picking up all kinds of garbage along the way. The mind is now thinking a lot of ridiculous thoughts. That is mental proliferation. The two are overlap, very similar, so I put them together. But actually, there's a slight difference between them. Cognitive distortions are more specific, whereas mental proliferation can be anything, any kind of garbage. Right? It's like saying cognitive distortion is like knowing what is the rubbish inside your rubbish bin. That is cognitive distortion. Mental proliferation is when the rubbish bin spills over and the garbage is spread all over the place. Everywhere it's getting all dirty. So that's really what's going on in your mind. Like when you're able to categorize them and be very specific with the categorization, that is cognitive distortion. But when it goes into all kinds of directions, that is mental proliferation. So the two are actually very, very closely associated. I then don't try to separate them. So there are these unconscious anusayam, and they arise. This is actually a translation from the Pali by Bhante Punaji. He says, there are unconscious repressions, anusayam, arising, producing thoughts that shape our beliefs and opinions, influencing our actions and behavior, which may lead to disagreements and conflicts. That means when anusayam arises, it disturbs our thinking, pollutes our thinking, and producing various things that affect our beliefs, our judgment, our opinions, and because of that, our actions and behavior go along with it, and then it causes all kinds of disagreements and arguments and conflicts in the world. That's why you have wars, you have conflicts, you have all kinds of things going on, fighting between people, because disagreement. So there are 7. So the Buddha pointed out, I won't read the Pali because I'm not very good at reading Pali. So the first one to do with passion and greed. This has to do with loba, something pleasant. And the second one is to do with dosa, which is something unpleasant, ill will and hatred towards what is unpleasant. And then you begin to form opinions and views and beliefs about what is happening. And then your mind goes into various confusion, vacillation, doubt, perplexity. And then your ego comes up, and that's when you want to defend yourself. Your ego is very strong. It wants to defend yourself. And then it causes all kinds of delusion about your existence. And finally, that is avijja. Okay? So these are the 7 types of anusayam arising, disturbing us and really driving us crazy if we don't learn to tame them. Okay? So I won't go into the details about them, but I'll give you a chart. You can download later on. I'll give you the link later. Basically, I've combined mental proliferation with cognitive distortions. There are 21 of them. And the link there, I'll give you the link at the end. You can take a snapshot at the end when then you can download this document, 21 of them. Because Papancha Sanya Sanka, categorized in identification and interpretation of whatever we experience triggers an emotional chain reaction that leads to cognitive distortions and mental proliferation. What can we do about it? Because if we don't do something about it, repressed memories arise unconsciously. It arises without our choosing. It arises without our knowledge, without our control. It just pops up. Imagine you're laying there, you want to sleep at night, you're feeling very relaxed, you're breathing, and then suddenly a thought pops up. Oh, this morning somebody said something terrible to me. Oh, that's not, I wonder if it is true or not. Why is this person having this opinion about me? So the mind goes into this kind of thought, popping up, right? Did you choose those thoughts? Did you know that it's coming up? You only know after it comes up. You don't know before it comes up. Have you got control it? Can you stop it right away? No. Anicca. And then what does it do? It becomes stressors and trigger chain reaction, triggering the body to release hormones, triggering the mind to become disturbed. So physical and psychological disturbances, that's dukkha. And all that, you really don't know what's going to happen next. You can't control it. You don't know when it will stop. Unconscious repressed memories are merely visitors. They are not you. But very unfortunately, when we think something, we begin to cling on to the thought, this is me. That's why whenever we experience something and we think about what we experience, the first word in that thinking is an I, me, or mine. Right? You sit down at dinner, somebody cook a very nice meal and serve the food in front of you, and you smell it and then you taste it. Oh, you enjoy it. What's the first word, phrase that comes up in your mind? I like it. What's the first word? I. Right? Every time we experience something, we try to cling on to it, we personalize it. And when we do that, we are creating notion there is a self behind every experience. But experience is just coming and going. Experience is not personal. Anatta. It is nothing personal. It comes and goes. And yet we cling on to it and think there is an I, me, or mine behind it. So while we do not have control over the arising, we are not able to know when it's coming, and we are not able to stop it from arising, and we don't choose it, but we do have full freedom to choose our response. So realizing that what is arising, we are able to choose how to deal with it, right? And that choosing is very important. But very often we don't choose. We react without thinking, okay? So, choosing. This is where we need to practice satipatthana and bhavana. Satipatthana is normally translated as mindfulness, but Bhattiputtaji translates it very precisely as introspection. I'll show you why in a moment. Satipatthana, introspection. Intro means inwards. Spection comes from the word inspection. Inwards, observing what's going on inside. That is satipatthana. Bhavana is meditation, basically. But there are many kinds of meditation. I'll talk about that in a moment. The more precise translation of bhavana by Bhattiputtaji. These two practices help us relax the body, calm the mind, and these are very necessary conditions to help us cultivate wise attention, yonisho manasikara, wise attention, to realize what is it we can do, how can we respond to this problem to help us experience peace and calm, experience compassion. So how can we respond properly? Now, knowing this is yoniso manasikara, wise attention. You realize that you need to do something about it. Wise attention and respond wisely. And that's why this introspection or satipatthana helps us embrace every experience without judgment. It's very important to realize. One of the important practices of satipatthana is not to make judgment. When you experience something, realize that there is an experience, but don't judge it, don't form judgment, don't classify it, categorize or identify it. Just pay attention purposefully in the present moment. That's what introspection is about. Resilience, that means your ability to withstand the problem, like survive the problem, empowers us with the mental strength, both. The mind is strong, the mind is flexible, agile, able to deal with it. The mind is not fixed, not made in concrete. So it's able to adjust and bend around the problem so you can solve the problem, to recover quickly, adapt easily to traumatic experiences, the emotions, to threats, conflicts, adversities, and uncertainties. And this is why I developed this program called Mindfulness Based Resilience. And it produces a very powerful foundation for mental well-being, mental health, in facing life's challenges, so that we are clear, with clarity, with confidence. We know what we can do about it, we know we can respond to it, and with compassion, do everything with kindness. So this is really a very, very important realization. Mindfulness-based resilience. Now I will give you the link to download all the slides, so at the end, so you can actually have all the slides. Now, Bhante Pullaji translated Satipatthana as introspection, not just mindfulness. The common translation, mindfulness. Now the term mindfulness, it's a bit confusing. Without a training in practicing mindfulness meditation, do you know what's the meaning of mindfulness? It's just the word itself doesn't tell you much. But the real word, satipatthana, is made of three root words. Sati, which means attention. Upa means inside or within, inwards. Tana means to place or to keep, to focus. So sati upatana means to place attention within or to focus attention inside you. Okay, so that's why Bhante calls it introspection. It's a very precise word, introspection. Right? And that is, let's listen to what how Bhante explains this satipatthana.
Satipatthana. Satipatthana is normally translated as mindfulness. But I think mindfulness is a wrong translation. We are not trying to fill the mind. Mindful means the mind is filled. We are really trying to empty the mind, not to fill the mind. Because the mind is filled with all kinds of nonsense, and as a result, we are suffering. So we are emptying the mind. And the important thing is, to empty the mind, we can't be looking out into the world. We are looking out into the world through the senses, the five senses, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the body. When we focus on the things that we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, we begin to react to those things. If it is pleasant, we desire. If it is unpleasant, we hate. So we are not calming the mind, we are reacting. And therefore, we have to learn to take our attention away from what we see, away from what we hear, away from what we smell, away from what we taste, away from what we touch. So that means turning the mind inwards. And turning the mind inwards is not called mindfulness, it is called introspection. Introspection means turning the mind inwards. So the real satipatthana is introspection.
So Bhante gave a very precise word, introspection, but it really means to put your attention or to keep your attention inside of you. Not get distracted by your sense organs, but observe what happens inside you. So there are 4 areas to focus on, 4 foundations as they call it, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, or Bhante Punnaji calls it the 4 focuses of introspection. The first is to focus on the body, Kayanupassana. Observe the physical manifestation of the reactions in the body. That means something happens, stress arises, how the body is reacting to stress. Your breathing deepens, your muscle getting all tensed up, your heart beats faster and all that. That is your bodily reaction. So this is the first thing to pay attention on, to focus on, to observe what is happening. Kayanupassana in the body. The next is Vedananupassana, the feeling, the sensations. Observe the manifestations of sensations and feelings in the body, whether something is pleasant, unpleasant, comfortable, uncomfortable, tension or relaxation. So observing these reactions as feelings is Vedananupassana. Now then the next 2 is where a lot of translators use very broad words, but Bhante Punnaji is very precise. It says Chittanupassana has to do with your emotions, which he calls affection. In other words, it's observing the manifestation of emotional excitement, which arises in the form of your mood and your temperament, and the arousal of emotional states, fear, panic, anger, anxiety, distress, all kinds of emotional states arising. That is Chittanupassana, affection. Many people translate the word chitta as mind, and that, if you read the translations by other teachers, the word mind does not really tell you much. Observe the mind. What in the mind to observe? The mind is so full of so many things. Be very specific. Observe the arising of emotional states in the mind. That's what Chittanupassana is about. And then Bhante went on to translate Dhammanupassana as the mind now creating concepts, creating thoughts, creating intentions, desires, wanting to do something, the thoughts and all that. And in fact, if we are not observing it carefully, it may go into all kinds of mental proliferation and interpretations. So observing the manifestation of thoughts and concepts, the interpretation of circumstances, how we interpret our circumstances. If you observe the fact that now my mind is interpreting it, my mind is recalling the past to try to interpret what's going on. My mind is now trying to connect with what's going on in the present moment and trying to imagine what will happen in the future. If you observe that happening, you become aware, you become mindful. You realize your mind is now doing something to whatever you have perceived from the environment. So that is what mindfulness is about. That is what Satipatthana is about. Observing that now the mind is beginning to create thoughts. So observe manifestation of thoughts, concepts, the interpretation of circumstances, past, present, and future, the manifestation of mental proliferation, the mind becoming, polluting whatever has been experienced. Observe that going on. And when you practice mindfulness meditation, bhavana, commonly translated as meditation, Bhante calls it to remain conscious, consciousness. It is by being conscious all the time that we can control our emotions. The constant practice of being conscious is what the Buddha called development of the mind, bhavana. Okay, and this is Bhante's translation found in his book Arya Magga Bhavana, level 1, page 18. Very clearly explained that. So if you're interested, you can get a hold of a copy. There are many places you can find them. Buddhist Mahavihara has many of them. So this is really Bhante Punnaji's explanation of bhavana, is for us to become conscious. So in other words, when you sit there and meditate, you're not going to fall asleep. You are conscious. You're observing your breathing. The way your body is experiencing the breathing. You're now observing the sensations of the breathing, whether it is pleasant, unpleasant, cool or warm, right? Comfortable or uncomfortable, or tensed or relaxed. So that is really what you're observing, being conscious of it. Now, the word bhavana being translated to meditation, again, just like satipatthana translated to mindfulness, mindfulness carries a whole lot of other meanings. Bhavana translated to meditation, the word meditation also has a lot of other meanings in the Western world. That's why you see some Western motivational guru, they are borrowing these two terms. They're calling it mindfulness, meditation, and then they give all kinds of different explanations which are not consistent with what the Buddha taught. And so therefore the word meditation, we also have to be very careful. Let's take a look at the term meditation, how it has been perceived by people, especially around the world, going back a long time, right?
Literally hundreds of different forms of meditation. The word meditation you can liken to sports. There are many different kinds of sports. There are many different kinds of meditation.
And strictly speaking, most of them are not mindfulness. There's transcendental meditation, which the Beatles got into while writing the White Album. The idea here is to repeat a mantra, a word or sound, until you transcend thought entirely. Then there's dynamic meditation, which is supposed to break old thought patterns. You may recognize it from coverage of the Rajneeshpuram community. Most religions have some kind of practice that could be called meditation, quietly contemplating scripture or forms of ritual prayer intended to bring you closer to God. Some of the oldest forms of meditation come from early Hinduism. According to tradition, around 500 BC, the Buddha studied these techniques, but then he added his own spin.
He systematically developed a new meditation technique that is called the Satipatthana meditation.
This is the traditional form of mindfulness meditation, one step on the Eightfold Path to Enlightenment that the Buddha taught his followers. The goal isn't to get closer to the divine or to empty your mind. It's to pay attention.
Sati means attention. Upa means inside, and Thana means to keep. Satipatthana simply means to keep your attention inside.
It's quite amazing that I came across this video where Bhante Saranapala, I think some of you know him, right? He comes to Malaysia regularly, Saranapala. And he even supports Bhante Punaji's translation very precisely. To keep your attention inside, because the word mindfulness is kind of confusing. And meditation, now I want to quickly talk about the various types of meditation that is mentioned there. The first one, he says, it's dynamic meditation. This was developed by, I think you know that you find him in YouTube before, Osho. Some of you may know this Indian Osho. He says, oh, you make yourself go crazy, jump, and stop. And then observe. That is what he calls dynamic meditation. Make your body overexert itself and then pause and observe what's going on. That is meditation. But that's not the way we understand meditation in the Buddhist tradition. The other one, transcendental meditation, was developed by the guru of the Beatles. I can't remember his name. But he then taught transcendental meditation. He says, oh, you use mantra. That means every person is given a set of a phrase or a word which has no real meaning. You don't associate any meaning with it. That particular word then triggers your mind to focus on it, and then that is transcendental meditation. Now, it's actually using that word to connect your mind to stick to one spot, focusing on that word. And by doing that, you transcend. You become enlightened. And he says, if you do that well enough, you can become enlightened. Again, that is not our understanding of how to become enlightened, okay? And then there is also the Christian meditation, especially practiced amongst the Catholic priests and those in Catholic circles, where they focus on God, so the mind is focusing on God as the creator, what God has done and all that. So, that is really making a person become more attached to the notion of believing in God. So all these are various things people call meditation. So when you use the word meditation in the West, it's quite confusing for them. They don't really know what it is all about. But we know meditation to be one of the best practice of meditation is mindfulness meditation. I'm going to use another translation by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, who is the founder of Mindfulness Based Stress Reduction. He came from the background of Zen Buddhism. So he was a very strong Zen Buddhist practitioner. Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, he says, mindfulness is moment-to-moment, non-judgmental awareness cultivated by paying attention on purpose in the present moment. And that is what he said. So basically it is moment-to-moment, not thinking about the past or the future. And when you are observing what's going on, you bring your attention inwards, don't make judgment, don't label anything or categorize anything. Just observe what is arising and fading. Anicca, rising, fading. Be aware. And this is cultivated by this attention purposefully in the present moment. Okay? So that's really what it is about. How do we practice introspection? How do we practice satipatthana on a daily basis? This is 24/7 practice. This is not about just sitting there meditating. This is 24/7 practice of satipatthana. So whenever something happens around us and we perceive activities in the environment, pay attention, be introspective, pay attention internally, how it is affecting us inside, okay? And what are we observing inside? We are observing how it is affecting the body. The stress that may arise because this thing is very stressful to me. Something that's just happened triggered the stress. So observe how stress hormones are released and affecting the body. Kaya Anupassana. And then, how does it feel? Right? Is it pleasant, unpleasant? Is there agitation? Or is there relaxation, tension, relaxation, comfort, discomfort? Right? So observe the sensations and the feelings. Right? Vedananupassana. And then observe how we begin to become emotional about it. Our emotions are rising. The mental disturbances that's happening and that's going on. Arousal of emotional excitement. Chittanupassana. And finally, observe, what are you thinking now? Why are you thinking like that? Your thoughts arising, your intentions arising, your conception. Dhammanupassana. This is the real 24/7 practice of satipatthana. The 4 focuses of satipatthana, or some translators call it the 4 foundations of satipatthana. And when you do that, you bring your attention inwards. Introspection means we are conscious of what's going on, and that vicious cycle I mentioned, that if we are not careful, the mind begins to interpret with anusayam and all kinds of crazy thoughts arising, mental proliferation taking over. So realize that can happen to you. That's what practicing satipatthana is about. That you bring that attention in introspectively and realize that can happen to you. Learn to relax. That is the important thing. A lot of people don't realize the first thing to do is to relax. Do not react unmindfully. Just because something appears to be uncomfortable, don't react to it. Just relax. And refrain from personalizing. This is very important. It is when we personalize any experience that we begin to experience suffering. Okay? So when something happens and it is very uncomfortable and we say, oh, I don't like this. I'm unhappy about this. Then that becomes suffering. The I, the me or mine. I want to share with you a personal experience. This is something interesting. I didn't realize until I went into Buddhism and I discovered that personally I have a very high tolerance for pain. So when I was a little child, I remember a few years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, or 10 years old at the time, when I had to go for a vaccination or whatever, and the doctor sticks the needle into my arm. Sometimes when you have high fever, you need injection. So when the doctor sticks the needle into my arm, the doctor was expecting me to cry or scream, He was looking at me, but I was just observing the way he puts the needle into my arm, pushes it in, presses the plunger, and then after that pulls it out. I didn't react. That's what I did. I didn't realize why I did that. But I have a high pain tolerance. I was able to do that. Until, of course, some years later, as an adult, and then I got into Buddhism, and then I learned a lot from Bhante Punnaji, and I learned one phrase called upadana. Upadana is often translated as clinging, attachment, grasping, okay, clinging. Upadana, Bhante Punnaji translates as personalizing. That means when we experience something, we personalize and say, I am the one experiencing it. Right? But I was not doing that even as a child, not because I knew how to practice Satipatthana, but it just happened to me in a very simple, a very natural way. You know? And when the doctor sticks the needle into my arm and there is this feeling of pain, I just think of it as, oh, there is a sensation. It's not pain. It's not me. Oh, there's a sensation. I feel the sensation. That's it. The same thing. When you experience something that may hurt your body, don't think of it as, oh, I'm feeling the pain. No, think of it, there is a sensation. And then, in fact, later in life, it happened to me one more time, a few times actually. I have this problem because of my weight and a lot of fat in my body. Doctors could not use this part of my arm to extract blood. Once in a while, some doctors have to take it from here. This is the part where they get the most blood. This is why if you're hospitalized, the doctor implants something permanently here so that they can extract blood very quickly. So when they try to extract blood from my arm, if they are not able to do that, the doctor then have to extract from here when I do my blood test. Of course, that part of the hand, when it is pierced, is very painful. Much more painful than your regular arm. So one day when I went for my blood test and they couldn't get the blood from my arm, then the doctor wanted to insert it into here, and the doctor warned me, he said, it's going to be very painful, just be careful. I said, no, I have high pain tolerance. He didn't believe me. He thought I'm going to scream. So he actually inserted it, and I just looked at him, and my whole mind was saying, this is just a sensation. There is a feeling, that's it. So I detached myself. I did not cling on to that feeling. So the next time you experience something that may be painful, don't think of it as, I am feeling it. No, there is a feeling, that's it. There is a feeling, you are detaching already. The opposite of upadana, okay, anupadana. You're detaching already. It's because we cling on to it, and this upadana process, say, I am feeling it, that makes us feel the pain, whatever is going on. And this is actually taught in the Paticca Samuppada, where after the process of upadana, we experience suffering, right? Because we begin to think there is a self being affected by the experience. So do not personalize your experience. Don't think of it as I am feeling it. Detach from this notion of a self and refrain from judgment. Focus on relaxation. So do not react unmindfully and focus on relaxation. This is how you can practice introspection or satipatthana 24/7. Okay. Now, in the prison, I had to deal with a lot more than all this, right? And the challenge is help the prison inmates how to handle harmful effects of stress when they get stressed. So I actually have a whole routine of various kinds of relaxation techniques and relieving techniques to help them release the stress tensions in their body. And then also learn to teach them how to deal with it in the long term. Deal with depression, depressive moods, mental proliferation. So I help them recover from emotional arousals. And finally, I want to help them to build this resilience, the ability to endure whatever they are going through, because they have no choice. In the prison, they have no choice. They're stuck in there day in, day out. They experience all kinds of threats and suffering. They must learn how to deal with it, how to endure it. So this is where I teach them mindfulness-based resilience. So in a nutshell, now I'm going to keep it very simple because the actual program is very long. The program I do in the prison, I have now developed 3 stages. That means those who attend for the first time, I give them stage 1 or level 1. And then after that, the next time I go there, I will do level 2 with them. So the next stage. So you have beginner stage, intermediate stage, and then level 3, a little bit on the advanced stage. Now I'm developing level 4. Okay, so I have already done quite a lot. So each level is about 2 hours, so it's a very long thing. I don't have time to explain all the various exercises, but I hope maybe one day I can come back and actually do a workshop here. We can spend 3 hours and do the full workshop, so you can experience all the different types of exercises that we do to help people practice all this. But in a nutshell, just to keep it simple, mindfulness-based resilience basically is cultivating the mental toughness, the mind is strong, and the mental agility, the mind is flexible, so that we're able to recover quickly and adapt easily to traumatic experiences, adversities, and uncertainties. And I remind them of this. This actually becomes a mantra for the prison inmates. They start to realize, yes, that's what mindfulness-based resilience is really about. The mental toughness, the mental agility, so that we're able to recover quickly and adapt easily. So what is mental toughness? Mental toughness means the mind is strong. Now the mind is able to deal with whatever is stressful, so that you can recover quickly from the stress. And mental agility means the mind is flexible. The mind is not rigid. The mind is not made of concrete. The mind is rigid, able to adapt and adjust itself. It's the mental flexibility that helps us learn to adjust ourselves and maneuver around the problems and the obstacles which are stressors. And so that we become smarter and better at dealing with problems, recovering and adapting to stressful situations. So basically, it is to recover quickly, adapt easily to traumatic experiences, adversities, and uncertainties. And I use these symbols, the Spider-Man and the Wonder Woman, in the 2 prisons. In the women's prison, I use Wonder Woman because it's like a role model for them. Wonder Woman, you know, very powerful, learn to be able to recover quickly and adapt easily. The same thing, Spider-Man, very flexible, he's able to recover quickly, adapt easily. In the men's prison. So in the men's prison, I use Spider-Man a lot. In the women's prison, I use Wonder Woman a lot, okay? So this is really the foundation, understanding of what it is about. Now, I want to share with you one very important video clip by Dr. Wayne Dyer, one of the motivational guru that I really enjoyed his teachings in the 80s and the 90s. He passed away some time ago. He was one of my motivational guru. I used to look at his videos a lot. Listen to him say, when we react, why are we reacting in such a way? What is rising? What is really making us react in such a way? So listen to his explanation.
An orange is a simple metaphor. You take this orange and you squeeze it as hard as you can squeeze it, and you ask yourself, what will come out? And what comes out when you squeeze an orange? Orange juice. Never, no matter how many times you squeeze it, will apple juice come out. There's no mistakes. You'll never get grapefruit juice out of this thing, ever. The only thing you'll ever get out of it is orange juice. And the next question is why? Why when you squeeze an orange, as hard as you can squeeze it, does orange juice come out? And I asked that question up in Toronto one time, with this little girl sitting right in the front row. She said, that's dumb. She said, that's what's inside. It has to come out. I said, well, that's the answer. You are really smart. And she smiled. She thought that was great. But that's the truth. The reason that orange juice comes out when you squeeze it is because that's what's inside. Now you extend the metaphor and someone squeezes you. That is, someone says something about you that you don't like. Someone behaves towards you in a way that you find offensive. Somebody does something or says something to you that you feel hurt by. And out of you comes anger, hatred, bitterness, tension, fear, anxiety, stress. And immediately you say, the reason that comes out of me is because of how he said it, or the way that she said that, or because they did that. But the truth is, the reality is, that what comes out is what's inside. And if you don't like what's inside, you can change it.
So basically, he used the orange as a metaphor. So if you take an orange and you squeeze it, you only get orange juice. You don't get grape juice, you don't get the pineapple juice or banana juice or anything. It's orange juice because it's an orange. That's what's inside. So he used that to say, it's what's inside us. When somebody puts pressure on us, squeeze us, we react, it comes out. And what comes out is what is inside, what is cultivated inside. So if you are unmindful, tendency is you react in a way that, that anger, hatred arises. But if you cultivate peace and calmness, mindfulness, you cultivate compassion. Even when people squeeze you, good things will come out. So it's really what's inside. So that's why I teach these prison inmates that you have to do something about it. If it is to be, it is up to me. So every one of them, they have to help themselves. Nobody can help you. Only you can help yourself. All I could do for them, I remind them, all I can do for them is to plant these seeds in their mind. The rest is up to them. Whether or not they benefit from my session, it's up to them. And quite a lot of them are actually very interested. I can see them, they're not given the notebooks, but actually bring notebooks of their own and scribble notes. Quite a few of them sitting in the front scribbling. Of course, there are some people sitting in the back chit-chatting that I don't worry too much, because after all, it's a prison. You can't really expect too much from some of them. Their minds are wandering all the time, so you can't really expect too much. But there are a lot of them sitting in the front, benefiting from it. And at the end of it, some of them even tears coming out of their eyes, because suddenly they realize something they never heard of before. So all these teachings have been very helpful to them. And then I get them to recite some things that are mantra, like this one. If it is to be, it is up to me. They keep reminding themselves. Nobody can help them change. Only they can help themselves. Because when we are not able, or we are no longer able to change the situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. If it is to be, it is up to me. So these are the mantra they keep reminding themselves, that you cannot change the situation. Some of them, there are a couple of them, the females are not so bad. It's some of the males in the male prison. They say, oh, no, I pray to God, everything will be fine. Oh, you mean God can solve your problem for you? I'm not trying to insult them. I'm just trying to remind them they have to do something for themselves. They cannot just pray and hope the problem will go away. They say, if I pray, the problem will go away. Then I ask, really? If there is a typhoon coming towards where you are, can you pray and the typhoon make a U-turn and go away? Then they suddenly realize, oh, maybe not. And then they say, no, I keep praying and everything will be good. Okay, good. You pray tonight until the cows come home. Tomorrow morning, are you back in the province with your family? So this is, I remind them, praying is fine, but praying does not change your circumstances. You have to do something about it, right? So, in fact, I remind them, if you really want to pray, pray for strength, pray for courage, pray for compassion, right? Pray for inspiration, pray for motivation. Don't pray for something to change. Because then you are trying to go against nature. Things don't change just because you pray. And that's what I remind them. And they all start to wake up about it. Not that they become Buddhists, but they start to wake up about it. That praying is good for inspiration, right? For strength and courage, but not to change something, okay? You can't make the typhoon make a U-turn. You can't pray and tomorrow you're back with your family, right? So basically, I go through a whole lot of exercises with them, and there are 4 stages of exercises. So happen they all begin with R. The first one is I get them to do a lot of relaxation exercises, because when you're getting stressed and you just relax, that reduces the stress tension. It prevents the stress from getting out of control, preventing more stress from happening. Okay, and when you practice relieving exercises, because some parts of your body is still very tense even though you try to relax, so now you must focus in that part of the body and do relief exercises. So stress relief exercises help them to release the tensions that are accumulated in that part of your body, in that part of the body. And then the third R is then calming the emotions, using breathing exercises and meditation and mindfulness meditation to calm the emotional arousals. And finally, to help them build resilience, the ability to recover quickly and adapt easily with mental toughness and mental agility. Okay, so there's many exercises. I hope I can run a workshop here one day and show and get everyone here to do that. But meanwhile, I'd like to share this with you, talking about relaxation, how to practice relaxation. This is Dr. Herbert Benson. He's still around, very old now, 80-something, 80-something years old already. He's already retired. And he started doing research on transcendental meditation. Then he realized the real meditation is the Buddhist meditation. Then he moved on to mindfulness meditation. He did a lot of research, and then he taught people now. He translated his findings into simple lay practices, how to relax. And he called this the two-step relaxation response by Dr. Herbert Benson.
Using modern technology, Benson is trying to understand how meditation appears to reverse the body's natural stress response.
What we are finding is that for centuries upon centuries, people had discovered that there's something they could do to counteract the harmful effects of stress.
Benson named it the relaxation response. It's the body's innate ability to lower blood pressure, reduce heart rate, and slow breathing.
We are fortunate that we have within us a response opposite to the fight or flight response. That is the relaxation response. And there are scores of techniques.
But in all of them, two steps are needed. The first is a repetition, a word, a sound, a movement. The second is freeing your mind of thought by concentrating on that repetition. And everyone can do it. The relaxation response can be triggered by all kinds of activity, from the repetition of a prayer to the primal beat of dancing. Even the rhythm of exercise can reverse the harmful effects of stress.
Even the rhythm of exercise can reverse the harmful effects of stress. So in other words, relaxation is not only just about sitting there and trying to meditate. There's a whole lot of things we can do. I'll just show you what he said in a nutshell. He said, first you can engage in relaxation activity, okay, and many kinds of relaxation activity, especially those that are repetitive, flowing, or rhythmic. You can actually use words, phrases, prayer, chanting, mantra, yoga exercises, body movement exercises, breathing exercises, various kinds of exercises. Important is when you do them, focus on them. By focusing on them, it frees your mind from disturbing thoughts, anusayam, unconscious repressed memories arising. That leads to mental proliferation. So therefore, learn to focus on these relaxation exercises. When you focus on it, your mind doesn't get carried away with mental proliferation. Okay? And this leads you into this deep relaxation state called parasympathetic nervous response. This is the opposite of stress. Stress is sympathetic nervous system response. This is the relaxation part. So when he spoke about the word or phrase, this is similar to transcendental meditation, because that was his origin. He started with transcendental meditation. But then he went on to say, and then he also looked at Christian meditation. Sometimes when they chant certain prayer, it helps them. And even in Buddhism, especially in the Mahayana tradition, Om Mani Padme Hum, that is a chanting. So some people, when they get very stressed, some Buddhists, they sit there, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. So this is an example. If you focus your mind on this chanting, it helps to relax. And this is like the mantra. And do physical exercises and breathing exercises. The mind must focus on that, and then the body becomes more and more relaxed as you focus on it. But unfortunately, we cannot have full control over our mind, anicca. Thoughts pop up at their own choosing. We can't choose our thoughts. Suddenly, a thought about yesterday's problem came up. Suddenly, a thought about worrying about next month or next week comes up. Suddenly, a thought about, oh, I don't like what is going on right now, and that comes up. So any kind of thought pops up. So here, he thought that when these thoughts arise and disturb your mind, okay, let them go. Don't fight them. So a lot of people, when unpleasant thoughts arise, the first thing we do is we say, go away, go away. No, the more you fight the thoughts, the more the thoughts fight back. And that thought stuck in your mind for a long time, and that ends up PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So learn to let it go. And the technique that I teach the prison inmates, it really worked beautifully, and I hope you also will practice this. I say, let it go with this, well, never mind. That thinking like that, and use your hand to wave it away, because this creates a psychosomatic effect. Psycho is the mind, somatic is the body. So when you wave it like letting go a butterfly. When something hurts you, well, never mind. It's like letting go a butterfly. This physical action helps you. Okay, I'll explain this a little bit more in a moment. So this is one thing. Well, never mind. Do not give attention to these disturbing thoughts. Do not try to remember what it is. Do not try to analyze it. Just let go with this, well, never mind. Now, how does this action help you? See, whenever your body does something, there's a set of neurons in your brain called the mirror neurons. It triggers a mirror reaction inside your brain. So when you use your hand and say, well, never mind, your mind actually begins to release it like letting go a butterfly, because that's what your hand is doing. So imagine the next time you are disturbed by some thoughts in your mind when you try to sleep. That is the best example. When you try to sleep, suddenly the mind has these crazy thoughts popping up, disturbing you. Or you try to concentrate on something and it's all disturbing you. You try to meditate and the same thing is disturbing you. I want all of you to try it now. Use your hand and wave it, and in your mind, and now you can speak it out. Well, never mind. So everybody, let's try that. Well, never mind. And do that a few times. Every time you experience that, well, never mind. And I teach them using a very simple example, the glass falling on the floor, it goes, priang! Most people will go, that is the amygdala hijack, the amygdala terrorist in the brain. Now transform that terrorist into your bodyguard. When you see the glass fall on the floor and go, priang! Anything, broken glass, just say, well, never mind. And then you feel better, right? You are more calm, more peaceful, isn't it? So that is what I teach them, and that was very helpful. A lot of them really enjoy it. So every time somebody says something unpleasant or something happens everybody doesn't like, they actually respond automatically. Well, never mind. There are times, when I walk up the step, my legs are a bit weak sometimes, and there's one classroom that is upstairs, 3 stairs. I have to walk up, no choice. They don't have lift inside the prison. So I had to walk very slowly. And there was one time I tripped. I didn't fall, I just tripped and sort of hold on to the railing. And then those students that attended my classes before around me, they say to me, well, never mind. And that worked, and I reminded myself, practice what you preach. So that is really something very helpful. Well, never mind. Then I get them to go through exercises to help them think good, speak good, and do good. Because the most powerful weapon we have against stress is the ability to choose one thought over another. By choosing good thoughts, we imbue inside us compassion, kindness, and goodness. So when somebody squeezes, something happens that squeezes, what comes out? Compassion and kindness. Instead of anger and hatred. So this is really very helpful, right? And the most powerful exercise I teach them is what I call the 3-step self-compassion. This is really putting Satipatthana in action. Right? Whenever something happens and we feel it is affecting us somehow, we are mindful, we are aware that it is now affecting the body and the bodily sensations, and then our mind starting to react. Pause. Do not react. Because when something happens and triggers the stress reaction in your body, allow time for your mind to settle, your emotional excitement to calm down. Allow time for anxiety to calm down. And allow time for stress hormones to subside by not reacting. Pause. Do not react and help it along. Make it let go faster, and that is relax. Take a deep breath and relax the body. Now consciously compose the mind. So these are the first 2 of 3 steps. Pause. Do not react. You know that something is happening. Do not react. Just relax. And then once you are adequately physically relaxed and your mind is now adequately calm, now think. Bring your attention inwards and observe. Introspect. Purposefully focus on helpful and beneficial response to the problem. Cultivate yoniso manasikara, wise attention. Okay? So these are the 3-step self-compassion exercise. And they all actually are able to do this very well. Those who attended my classes, at least those who have already done 2nd level, they are very good at it. Those who have done 3rd level, all this is like muscle memory. They already know how to do all this very well. Now let's take a look at how it affects us then if we were to practice these things. So if things are happening around us, if we're not mindful, anusayam arises. Right? And then we react unmindfully, the body becomes stressed, the mind becomes disturbed, and it leads to emotional chain reaction, and all kinds of suffering arises. Because we react without thinking too much. Learn to pause, relax, and think. And when you practice this is Satipatthana 24/7. This is not meditation. This is Satipatthana 24/7. Pause, relax, and then bring your attention inwards and think. What is it that you can do to help yourself? So these are the 4 areas to focus in. And when you're able to do that, you transform that vicious cycle of emotions. See, previously it was vicious cycle of emotions into virtuous cycle of composure. Now your mind is calm, your body is relaxed, you're ready to deal with the problem in a smart way. Mindfulness, relaxed body, calm mind, and you're able to help yourself cultivate healthy body, peaceful mind, caring heart, and joyful spirit. And if this is what is cultivated inside you, whenever somebody squeezes you, you feel good. It's okay. You don't react with anger. You're peaceful. You're caring, joyful. In fact, I also use laughter yoga. So I teach them, if you really don't know how to react, laugh. So the next time somebody makes you angry, you don't know what to say, then just laugh. That helps. Laughter is the best medicine. I'm going to show you in a moment. Okay? So, mental health therapy. First, we have Buddha Dhamma, which helps us with introspection, Satipatthana, and mindfulness meditation, Bhavana. And then I use clinical hypnotherapy to help them. The clinical hypnotherapy is to get them to, they can't do Buddhist meditation. So I get them to sit there and I use guided meditation. But actually guided meditation is not real meditation, so to speak. But it is a form of hypnotherapy. I put them into a state of mind where their mind calms down. And then I use good words and helpful words, neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro-linguistic programming is simply, neuro means the mind, the thinking part, neurology, neurostic. Linguistic is words, the choosing of the right words. Programming is to use that to help your mind, program your mind in a positive way. So in other words, choosing the right words and all that. So that helps them. And I use CBT, but today there is one more practice superior to CBT. CBT is cognitive behavior therapy. That is very simple, outdated psychological therapy. Today, there is another one called dialectical behavior therapy, DBT. This is taking CBT, combining with Buddhist meditation and mindfulness, and then reprogramming of the mind with NLP. So DBT is actually the collection of all that together. And also, I give them the exercises, tension relaxation exercises, and laughter yoga. All that combined are very powerful ways of helping them. And then also various types of action-oriented therapeutic exercises, singing, acting, dancing, laughing, and all that. So all this combined is very powerful way to help them calm their mind. Okay, since I think now, I hope you don't mind, it's 11:30, instead of finishing now, I want to spend another 10-15 minutes more, you don't mind, okay? All right, so I want to show you, our body is also equipped with another part of the body to help us. Not only the bodyguard in the amygdala, but also a part of the body we call vagus nerve. See, coming out of the brain are two types of nerve. The spinal nerves and the cranial nerves. Cranial nerves are, spinal nerves are those nerves that go through the spinal cord. Cranial nerves are those nerves, I think there are 12 sets of them, that are outside the spinal cord. They spread throughout the entire body, reach out to various parts of the body. There is one particular set called the cranial nerves. These cranial nerves is the longest nerves in the body. It reaches to various organs in the body, every part of your body. It senses whatever is in your body and relay the information back to the brain for the brain to take action. And the good thing about this vagus nerve, if you stimulate the vagus nerve, that means you do something to vibrate it or do something to activate it, opposite of amygdala, it actually triggers the release of very good hormones to help you. Hormones that help you relax, hormones that help you focus, hormones that help you feel strong. So this vagus nerve stimulation is a very powerful weapon we have inside us that can help us. But a lot of people are not aware of it. Okay, I'll explain more about it. Just watch this video.
One of the most powerful communication network within the body's internal nervous system is the vagus nerve. So what is the vagus nerve? Well, the Latin word vega means wandering. The vagus nerve is the longest set of cranial nerves that literally wanders around within the body, reaching out from the brain to almost every major organ in the body. It controls all involuntary body processes, such as breathing, speech, swallowing, heartbeat, blood pressure, hearing, taste, circulation, digestion, and gut health. It also controls bladder movement, orgasm, and fertility. A healthy vagus nerve enables us to access part of the brain responsible for creativity, higher cognition, and complex decision-making. In the absence of a healthy vagus nerve, our brain predominantly reacts to primal instincts, such as fear and the fight or flight reaction. A healthy vagus nerve is essential to leadership and decision-making. When the vagus nerve fails to perform effectively, the body becomes susceptible to a range of mental and physical diseases such as depression, anxiety, obesity, cardiovascular disorders, hypertension, diabetes, digestive disorders, chronic inflammation, kidney malfunction, infertility, and even Parkinson's disease. Electronic devices can be implanted to stimulate the vagus nerve, increasing its activity to help with diseases like depression. However, there are very effective natural ways to stimulate vagus nerve activity, such as breathing, meditation, exercises, yoga, omega-3, and probiotic-rich foods, singing, chanting, splashing cold water, laughing, hugging, and massages. By far, one of the most effective natural ways to stimulate the vagus nerve is through breath-related exercises involving strong activation of the diaphragm. Research has shown that natural stimulation of the vagus nerve has helped relieve depression in 67% of participants in the study, greatly reducing the release of stress hormone cortisol by 56% and reduced anxiety in 71% of the participants. Studies also showed stimulation of vagus nerve helps build stress resilience, improved immunity, inner happiness, creativity, stronger relationships. The long-term benefits from regular stimulation of the vagus nerve is reinforcement of love and empathy, connectedness, intuition, mental and physical well-being. All these benefits become integral parts of your life when you keep the vagus nerve nurtured and naturally stimulated regularly.
Now, I want to explain a little bit more about the vagus nerve. When it comes out of the brain, it passes through this part of the neck because it's not in the spinal cord. So it's a side of the neck. And then it goes around the heart and goes down through your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is a set of muscle that separates your lungs from your stomach. Put your hand above your stomach, not on the stomach, but above your stomach, and you make a cough. Okay? Then you can feel something kicking, right? That is your diaphragm. Or if you don't feel it, then you can actually activate it more strongly by using laughter. Go. You can feel something kicking. Okay, that is your diaphragm. The vagus nerve actually goes right through the diaphragm. It's intermeshed with the diaphragm, and then through various parts of your body. Now, the way to stimulate the vagus nerve is that when you are able to sing, you are actually activating this part of your throat. And also a little bit of the diaphragm. When you're able to laugh, you're actually activating the diaphragm a lot, and that really stimulates the vagus nerve. And when the vagus nerve is stimulated, it triggers the release of good hormones to make your body feel strong and feel healthy and feel relaxed and so on. So stimulating vagus nerve is a very helpful thing to do. It is really your secret weapon inside your body. If you know what to do with it, it helps. This is exactly the reason why laughter is the best medicine. Because when you laugh, you're really stimulating the vagus nerve. That's why people who are in deep depression, unable to do anything, people who are deeply depressed, they can't laugh. You can do what you want, they won't laugh. So doctors implant a little gadget next to the heart, connected to a set of the vagus nerve, and they press a button and that like a buzzer, like that, and gives this vagus nerve a little bit of a stimulation. So that is the medical way of doing it, but we can do it without that kind of gadgets. People who are experiencing very deep depression, chronic depression, unable to get out of it, PTSD and all that, doctors may have to implant those things if they can afford it. It's quite an expensive procedure. But for us, there is a free one. It's called laughter. Okay? So in other words, they pointed out, breathing, because you're activating the diaphragm and you're also doing a bit of jigging around your neck. Meditation calming it down, and when you do deep breathing during meditation, and various kinds of physical exercises, because you breathe a lot when you do physical exercises. Laughter, it really stimulates, activates this diaphragm to stimulate the vagus nerve. So laughter is the most powerful. And yoga, chanting, singing, right? So really laughter is the most powerful. There are also other ways. You can take this kind of food, but don't rely on taking omega-3 or probiotic. If you can afford it, wonderful, but they're very expensive. And splashing cold water, that's a wonderful technique. So one time, if you ever feel, I'm very stressed, I don't know what to do, go to the bathroom, turn on the tap, and just splash water on your face. Right? Wash your face thoroughly, wash your hands, put water all the way up your hand, right? All over your face, and you find yourself calm down very quickly. So that is a quick fix, okay, splashing water. Other things like hugging, massaging, right? All that helps. So laughter is the most powerful medicine. Now, we're going to do a little bit of laughter in a moment. I hope you will join me. It only takes 10 more minutes and then we're finished. One of the things I also try to calm their mind is to realize that if it is to be, it is up to me. It's up to you to help yourself. There is a way you can help yourself calm your emotions. Because when you think about the past, learn to let go, forgive the past. And if you think about the future, or you think about the present, be grateful. There are many blessings around us all the time. Realize that plenty of blessings are coming our way. And if you were to think about the future, do everything with kindness. So in other words, when you think about the past, forgive whatever is going on. When you think about the present, be grateful. There's a lot of blessings around you. When you think about the future, realize that the only way you can have a wonderful future is to be kind. So that kindness inside, when people squeeze you, kindness comes out. When you're kind to other people are kind to you in return. It's your karma. So that is what I teach them. Now, we're going to do a bit of laughter yoga, right? So first, I want you to experience this, okay? Now, I get them to hug themselves. Everybody, you hug yourself. And I'm going to show you the words, okay? I'm going to show you the words. We will all recite this together, phrase by phrase. And after finishing reciting it, I want you to release all the energy in your body through laughter and do it this way. First, you open up your arm and then you start a little bit of laughter to build up. And then at the end of it, and we go, very good, very good, yay! Very good, very good, yay! Okay, so let's all do that. Hug yourself. Forgiving the past. We release this to the whole world as a blessing that we forgive the past. So let's recite this together. Ready? Go. I forgive myself for all the mistakes I have made in my life. I forgive myself for hurting myself out of anger, fear, anxiety, and frustration. I forgive others who have hurt, harmed, or angered me. I forgive myself for having hurt, harmed, or angered others. Very good, very good, yay! Very good, very good, yay! Good, that is the forgiveness part. Right, now you release the energy to the whole world. Now, we want to be grateful. Grateful is a blessing, so we put our palms together and feel sadhu, sadhu, sadhu for all the blessings. So let's do the same thing. Ready, go. I am grateful to be alive and well. I am grateful for the shelter over my head and the clothing I am wearing and the food that nourishes me every day. I am grateful for the lessons I learned from my own mistakes. I am grateful for the blessings that brought me comfort, peace, and happiness. I am grateful for the blessings of sharing love, peace, and happiness with the people around me. Wow! Very good, very good, yay! Very good, very good, yay! Now, we do kindness towards the future. Kindness comes from your heart, so place one hand over your heart and recite, ready, go. May I be kind to myself with my thoughts and my feelings. May I be kind to others with every word I speak and every action I take. May I cultivate the kindness towards things I cannot change. May I cultivate the wisdom to change with kindness the things I can. May I cultivate the compassion to be kind to my friends and family and to every person around me. Very good, very good, yay! Very good, very good, yay! And then we wrap it off with the way to happiness and using Wonder Woman and her cross. You know, feeling strong and powerful. Ready? Go. When I am no longer able to change a situation, I am challenged to change myself. May I find the strength and the courage to forget the past. May I be grateful for the present. May I be kind towards the future. With my feelings, thoughts, speech, and action. If it is to be, it is up to me. Very good, very good. Yay! Very good, very good. Yay! Okay. Now take a deep breath. And then release it very slowly. Deep breath in. And use the sigh to let it out, because that helps. Take another deep breath in. And I want to teach you one important thing about breathing. Okay. When you breathe in, the amygdala is watching. The amygdala is now alert. It's not reacted yet. It's trying to check whether you are able to breathe without problem. If you are breathing in smoothly, the amygdala doesn't get reacted, so you can stay calm. But if something blocks your breathing, maybe because you have a nose block, or something obstructs your breathing, or you are running out of a house on fire, you cannot breathe properly, the amygdala gets reacted, and then you end up all kinds of stress reaction. So breathing in is when the amygdala is alert, watching. Breathing out, the amygdala knows you have already taken an in-breath. No problem. Now you're breathing out, so the amygdala calms down. The amygdala doesn't care anymore. That's why good technique is breathe in quickly and breathe out very slowly. Okay, let's do that 3 times in a row. Ready? Deep breath in. Breathe out slowly. With a sigh. One more. Deep breath in. Breathe out slowly. One more. So one of the good techniques to really calm the amygdala is to breathe in deep and then breathe out slowly as you can. Okay? That really calms the amygdala down. How do you feel now after doing that breathing? Yeah, you feel very relaxed. Yeah, that's what it is. And when at the end of each seminar, I didn't know about this photo. It was taken by their photographer. I'm not allowed to bring my camera or anything in there, so I cannot take photo. I don't know about this photo. They gave this photo to me a few days later, after I finished the seminar during one of the sessions. Take a look at their faces. What do you see? Happy. Feeling so happy. Every single one of them. Do you see people in the prison like that? No, it doesn't happen. Every day they are all stressed, but at the end of the session, they really feel so good. And that mantra, they really enjoy it. Every time something happens, they say, oh, very good, yay, very good, yay. In fact, each time I walk into the prison, right, for the next session, those who have attended my classes before, the moment they see me, Sir Billy, very good, yay, very good, yay. They all do that. Oh, it's so wonderful, When I saw that picture and when all this is happening, really, tears come to my eyes. It is something very, very unique. And that's why I keep doing it, because I see that happening. I want to keep doing it. I don't want to have to stop. As long as my body still can take it, I will keep doing it. And I'm so blessed. There are so many people like Brother Tay here and a few others here who have contributed donations to help a lot. So I hope any one of you who are interested in what I do, please, at the end of it, you can see my email or whatever, contact me, and then if you want to donate, fine, any amount is good. Anything from 10 ringgit to 10,000, no problem. All right, so please, at the end of it, I'll show you the email. You can contact me and help me to help these people. As long as I'm physically able, I will keep doing it. And I'm very fortunate that my family had left behind some property from my father. We sold it, and I was able to use those funds to help me. And that's what pays for my air ticket, my hotel. Your donation is not paying for my air ticket and hotel, nothing. Not one penny of your donation will go into anything else. It will only go into actual goods delivered to the prisoners. 100% of everything you donate goes to the people who benefit. All my expenses and people I invite, the monks I sponsor, all that money comes from my own pocket. I don't take it from the donations. Donation is for the people we're going to help. So please feel free to do that. And I finish off by reminding them the illiterate of the 21st century will not be the one who cannot read and write, but the one who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Because many of them drop out of school. They don't know how to read and write. But I say to them, no, don't worry about not being able to read and write. It is whether you can learn, unlearn, and relearn from whatever I'm sharing with you. Okay, you can download the slides afterwards so you can have all this. So it's very important, right? And then very quickly run through some of the important mantra. When we no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. If it is to be, it is up to me. Okay, and then all these proactive. Learn to bring your attention inwards, introspective. Look at how the body is affected by the stress hormones. Look at the sensations, feelings of comfort, discomfort, the arousal of emotions and emotional excitement, and also the thoughts arising. And learn to relax, do not react unmindfully. Refrain from personalizing, saying, oh, I am affected. And then refrain from judgment and focus on relaxation. With pause, do not react, relax, and then think. Purposefully focus on helpful and beneficial response to the problem, yoniso manasikara, wise attention, so that you are able to cultivate healthy body, peaceful mind, caring heart, and joyful spirit. And that ends my presentation. I hope it has been helpful. So those are the 3 links. You can download slides. The first one is the slides of today's sharing. Dhamma for mental health, one word. tiny.cc/. So take a snapshot of this one. And also the list of mental proliferations and cognitive distortions. And finally, if you want a copy of the Majjhima Nikaya 18, but other people's translations, unfortunately, will not be so accurate compared to Bhante Puranji's. But what is more important is you download the slides and you read through what I'm sharing here. And I give you my contact by email or through Facebook. Any one of you interested to help the course that I'm doing and to help with donations, please feel free to contact me. And you're most welcome. Any amount is good.